I've been tricked into working for social media platforms for free, and so have you. Every time you post on social media, you're creating content for them to monetize. They position ads around your content and they keep that ad revenue. If you're really lucky, they will give you a tiny percentage of that revenue. Sometimes they even get you to pay to put content on their platform by paying to promote that content more widely, which just further boosts their ad revenue. Now, this isn't how the platforms frame it, of course. You're encouraged to see all this as getting content in front of your audience, but it's not really your audience. When you build an audience, which could be followers or subscribers on social media, you're paying to reach them, either through promoted content or simply in the time it takes you to show up and play the game. So why do we still do it? My name is Simon Batchelor, and in this video I'm going to discuss whether there is another, more effective way to connect with people. It used to be that you needed a big name publisher, a series of magazine articles, or a TV show to have a chance of sharing your ideas and opinions. You had to go through a gatekeeper. But now that world has changed. There are still gatekeepers, and these new gatekeepers are companies like Meta, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn and Google. Well, they all have huge audiences created off the back of user-generated content. And the key thing is that they control the access to the audience for that content. You create and post content, and the platform's AI decides who sees it. When a platform is growing, many people see what you post, so you keep posting. Then the platform turns up with the dreaded boost button and the game changes. Once that arrives, to reach the same people, you have to start to pay. Now, this happens to all social media platforms at some point. The content may be yours, but the audience certainly isn't. Now, the platforms can get away with this as long as the extra reach is worth more to you than the cost of hitting that boost button, or the cost to you in the time it takes to make and post that content. Social media platforms are playing you like a slot machine every time they set the price of a boost. And it's not just boosting posts on Facebook, the same is true with Google ads, YouTube ads, TikTok ads, etc, etc. So every time you pay to get seen, you're paying a gatekeeper to reach their platform's audience. This is why I believe it's important to build your own audience. Now, a lot of people don't like to hear this because building your audience is a lot more work than just simply paying to reach someone else's. But I think it's important to be your own gatekeeper. Let's think about what it would mean to have 100 or 1,000 people who would miss you if you didn't show up with your message. On social media, people won't miss this too much because someone or something will simply take your place. But people that have joined your audience, who have raised their hand and said, "I want to hear from you," well, they'd miss you. To build your own audience, you need to find a medium that allows you to connect directly with your audience without that gatekeeper. There are two really good ways of doing this. One is an email list and the second is podcasts. Email is a great way to start because people have to join your emailing list, which is a powerful sign of enrollment, even commitment. Podcasts are another great way to reach people directly because when you make a podcast, you're going straight into people's ears. Now, yes, some platforms are going to inject ads and we've got spam folders to deal with, but the key is that you don't have to pay to play. When your podcast shows up in someone's app, it's because they've chosen to have it there. These are the only two online channels where you have both direct access to your audience and that audience has opted in voluntarily to hear specifically from you. Now, yes, both these routes have their limitations and factors beyond your control. Nothing's perfect, but the key here is that when people enroll and opt in, they're far more open and connected to your message than simply stumbling across you while they're endlessly scrolling. Also, in this way, you've earned their enrollment. They join up and they stay joined up because of your content. If you can earn enrollment day by day, week by week, then you can educate, inspire and motivate people who are there to be educated, inspired and motivated. You might be thinking, okay Simon, but there's this person on Instagram and they've got 1 million followers. Surely one post from them is better than having a mailing list to a few hundred people. It is tempting to take advantage of a new platform and to try and figure out how to win it. So for a while this might work. You might be one of those lucky early adopters who breaks through. But even if you do, you're still building an audience for someone else. And when that someone posts on Instagram, their content doesn't reach every single one of their million followers. The platform's engineers and AI make sure that it doesn't happen that way to keep you coming back, to keep you posting new content. You have to play their game, otherwise they can't win. As Seth Godin said on a recent podcast, the people who are easy in are also easy out. So the challenge you have is to build a persistent connection. So the longer and harder work is in building your own audience. And yes, you'll probably use other platforms to do that, just like I do in the way you're watching this video right now. But the focus is on getting people to listen to the podcast, subscribe to the email list, or buy a book. All of those things are opt-in, and the resulting audience is yours, focused on your messages, not the gatekeepers. When it's your audience, you've earned it. The challenge is not to look for shortcuts or quick wins, but to build an audience that has given you permission and signed up specifically to hear what you have to say. The key is to build that audience without gatekeepers, who could at any time put you behind a paywall, or worse still, just close your account. To reference Seth Godin one more time, what we need to seek out, even if it's more difficult at first, is the privilege of delivering anticipated, personal and relevant messages to those who want to get them. So would you like to hear more ideas like this? If this video has got you thinking, then you can get more of this kind of idea and content by becoming a subscriber to my mailing list, listening to my podcast, or buying my book. You can find out how to do all of those things at my website, simonbatchelor.co.uk. This has been a very brief overview of how this process works. I go into a lot more detail in my book, Reframing Marketing, a 3-step guide to effective and ethical marketing. So if you want to create a journey for your client to go on and to have more conversations with the people who are ready to do the work, then you might want to give it a read. You can order your copy directly from me at reframingmarketing.com. Thanks very much for listening, and I hope this podcast has got you thinking. If you'd like to get a notification of when the next episode is released, then simply press the follow button wherever you're listening to this podcast.